Hi, Bob Bartlett here with the Ubuntu Fly Anglers Network and iFishiBelong, and the host of our podcast series, On the Reel. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we are a small group of black and brown fly anglers, environmental activists, and educators from across the country and Canada. It is an attempt to get real with our guests on matters that mean the most to them as black and brown folks. This podcast is consistent with our mission to make visible folks like us who live the outdoor life. Hi, Bob Bartlett here with the Ubuntu Fly Anglers Network and your host of this episode of On the Reel. On this episode, I sit down with the youngest guest thus far we've ever had on the show. On this episode, I sit down with Timothy Lensey, an East Coast fly angler who currently lives in South Carolina, and that happens to be where he learned to fish, being taught by his parents with conventional gear. Tim shares his evolution from a conventional gear angler to his obsession for chasing fish on the fly, especially his beloved redfish. Although he's only in his early 20s, Tim has become quite the seasoned angler, with a goal of chasing and catching fish of all species all over the world, and his passion for bringing more black and brown fly anglers into this sport. His passion is truly contagious. So please join me on this episode of On the Reel with fly angler Timothy Lensey. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye. So On the Reel, R-E-A-L, everybody, is consistent with our mission to make visible people like us, share experiences and stories with them. Today's guest is Timothy Lensey. We're just excited to get together here. He and I met on Instagram. I saw this picture of this young brother standing in the river doing something with a fly rod in his hand. I gotta know this rising star. So if you remember, I DM'd you and said, hey, what's going on? Can we have a chance to visit and be on our Ubuntu podcast? Thank you very much. Start off with, how do you identify yourself racially, ethnically?
Black. Pronouns are he, him.
Where are you from? Now, I know a little bit of your backstory because you and I have had a chance to meet. Share with everybody your history.
Yes, sir. So, grew up in South Carolina. I was not born here. Was born out of the country. My parents were Marine Corps. They were in the Marines. So, I was born on a base in Okinawa, Japan, which is pretty cool. They came here to South Carolina. My grandpa is retired Navy, and my mom just decided to stay close to home. I grew up in South Carolina my whole life.
What city are you in?
The city I'm in, it's a small little town called Goose Creek. It's about 20-25 minutes from Charleston. Yes, sir.
In South Carolina, okay. Well, you come from a military family, so I'm sure you've moved around a bit during your young lifetime.
Yes, sir. When I was a little kid, my mom said they bounced around a lot from Japan to California and a few other places.
So where did you spend the most time? In South Carolina then?
Yes, sir. Pretty much in South Carolina.
What about your fishing history? Where did you first learn to fish? Who were the people instrumental in your life to get you out there, and what kind of fishing did you do?
So my dad in South Carolina, he would go to Bushy Park. It's like off near the naval base, which is like down the street from my grandpa's house. He used to go there all the time, and he would just go out and go fishing, and then I wanted to go with him, so he took me out there. We was all using those little, I think they were the Zebcos or those closed face rods, catching little shad or whatever was in there. Yeah, we was out there one day, and I was catching little fish, and then it was history after that. One day, my mom and dad, we all went out together as a family, and at this time when I was younger, this is when Bushy Park had some really big alligators, like some big ones. So we were out there. It's like
alligators. Whoa! Wait, you talk about alligators?
Yes, sir.
In South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
Oh man, no.
We were out there on the pier. The sun was starting to set. When the sun sets out there in Bushy Park, the gators start to rise up. You'll see them cruise on the surface. So one day I was out there, my mom and my dad, they were talking, and I saw this giant log just cruising like a few yards out. I didn't know what it was, so I was like, I'm gonna take a cast at it. Somehow casted and cooked the top of the gator, and I was reeling it in. I was like, I got a fish, I got a fish. And my parents, they looked at each other like, that's not a fish, that's an alligator. And he was just coming on in. And yeah, that's what did it right there. That's what started it.
That's when you fell in love with catching big things. That's when you said, I want to catch big things in my life. That's a great story. So your first major catch was an alligator. Congratulations, you're the youngest person ever to be on the podcast. And again, I wanted this to happen because I see you as a rising star. You consider your home waters or home water?
I guess you could say here in Charleston, we got the Wando River. It's not too far from the intercoastal waterway. It's like a mixture of the fresh, the brackish water. So there you'll see the redfish, you'll see sharks, might even see all kinds of other species in there. But I would say Charleston. Love fishing the salt. I love freshwater, but the salt, they pull a little harder.
You go from alligators to sharks.
Yes, sir. I love the salt, man.
Do you legitimately target sharks?
No, sir, not all the time.
Not all the time.
When I would be out there, sometimes I'll get a bycatch. I'll catch those small, different species of small sharks, but not all the time.
Have you ever fished for tiger sharks?
No, sir, I haven't. I was at work one day. I heard a coworker. He said, I think out in Folly Beach, they would do shark fishing at night. He said they'd be catching all kinds of sharks, big sharks. We got bull sharks. I think there's even sharks too. Not on fly, but just on like spinning and stuff like that.
We need to get you out to LA to fish with a co-founder of Ubuntu, my co-founder brother Carl Crawford, who fishes the beach out there. They catch crazy stuff, Tim. Like, I'm talking to someone who fishes saltwater. I don't. He catches stingray and they catch tiger sharks out there on the fly in the surf. So, okay, Tim. So, what is your preferred gear and then your preferred method? It sounds like it depends on where you're going.
When we go for like the redfish where I'm at in your sheep's head, 8-weight, 9-weight range. As far as the style, I love the sight casting for them, especially during the flood tide season, like around the spring, summertime, when the fiddler crabs start to come back out and they start to go into the flats. When we get the flood tides or the king tides is when the tides are raised higher than normal. They start to flood in, and that's when the redfish will go to the grass. Guys will get on their poling skiffs, and we'll see them face down in the mud, tails showing, just happy, feeding on crabs, and guys are throwing little crab shrimp patterns at them. Sight cast on them, and you can just watch them just come up and eat your fly. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty amazing experience. You can see their blue tails. They get the blue tails from their diet of like crabs, shrimps, and they eat all kinds of stuff. But it's cool watching the sight cast for them.
So you're throwing 8-weight, 9-weight rods. What lines are you throwing? Use intermediate, sink, float?
We're going to be using floating just because of the grass, the Spartina grass. Sometimes it'll get stuck, so it's good to use the floating. You can just right over the grass a little bit better and helps to get the fly in there.
Was your fishing with long leaders then?
About 12, maybe 20, maybe shorter than that. I think it's just preference, to be honest. With the redfish, they're very spooky when they're on the flat. There's a lot of things that eat them. The ospreys, they'll dive down and eat them. These are their big predators, so they'll go to the flats. They'll stay hidden. Dolphins can't reach them, but they're just on high alert when they're on the flat. So if you make too much noise, they're going to leave the flat. Even casting on them is kind of hard. Cast for them in the grass because of how spooky they are. So even if you make a nice cast and it lands close to them, if it doesn't seem right, they're just going to dart off the flat. And then you got to try to find another one.
So you're casting from your boat, I take it, or are you wade fishing?
You can wade for them. You can use your paddleboard. You can use a kayak, and you can use a boat. You can even wade a flat. I used to go with buddies, and we would get on, paddle to the spot, hop off our paddleboards because it's a lot quieter, and we would just try to sneak up on them. They just know. They just know when something's there and something's not right. I was like, yeah, it's time to leave.
Humans, we are in that category of predators. So if they're predator sensitive, they're going to be shy around you. You went from traditional gear to fly fishing. Now, how did that happen, and who brought you into fly fishing?
So I was watching YouTube videos. I saw these guys on paddleboards, and I was looking for other ways to catch redfish. There's got to be other ways besides catching them on cut bait, using live bait. There's got to be other ways to catch them besides getting them from the bottom. I saw videos of these guys on paddle boards, and they was like, we're going to go after some tailing redfish. And I thought the only way you could catch redfish was when there was a low tide or when the tide was just right. There's a lot of bait, and you just see Carolina rig with a weight and a circle hook, and you just drop it down. I saw these guys that were out here on paddle boards. Yeah, we're going to go fish a flood tide, and they were fishing these flooded glass, Cortina grass flats, and they were looking at tailing redfish, and I was like, that's cool. I want to try that. So I got a paddle board, and I tried to do that, and I was like, yeah, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to find redfish. I was like, I don't know where these guys go. I don't know where they hang out when there's a tidal swing change. I didn't know where they go. So I started watching videos, and then I eventually stumbled upon a fly shop, and the guy said, oh yeah, we watch the tides. If it's a low tide, they'll be in back creeks. If it's a flood tide, they'll be right in the grass. So if you can find a flat that you can walk on, or if you got a boat that you can pull right up in the flat, they'll be in there. You look for tails, or you look for splashes. You hear the eats and find them. So yeah, after that, I was like, okay, let's do it. I went with some friends, and we went on this one flat. It was like a hour and a half paddle, but it was worth it. I was hurting, but it was worth it. So we got out there, and we saw like maybe 10, 12 redfish on that flat, and I've never seen that many. I brought my camera with me, but every time I put the camera away, my friend's like, Tim, get it out. There was just so many redfish. I tried to take a cast at one. They were just really finicky. My friend, he had one eat, but he got too excited and pulled the hook out his mouth.
So then what you're saying is you were self-taught when it comes to fly fishing?
Pretty much, yes, sir. When I stumbled upon the fly shop, they were able to teach me how to get better casting and tie flies. When I was learning how to tie flies, it was pretty frustrating. I would watch videos, and then I'd look at the flies like it does not look anything like that. And I'd close the laptop and go take a nap. I was like, we're gonna sleep this one off.
Pick it up tomorrow, right? What did you start out fishing with?
It was a 7-weight, and it was a Orvis Clearwater Wheels 7-weight. That's what I had. And then I eventually got Penn was making some fly setups, so I brought like 2 of those. And then after that, I was trying to get better at reading tides, or whenever there was a flood tide, I was like, oh, there's a flood tide, I'm going to go fish that tonight.
And how long ago was this for you, this conversion to fly fishing?
I'd say probably like maybe 4, maybe 3 years ago.
It sounds like you're hooked.
Yes, sir.
That fly fishing is your jam. You said something about, well, I want to catch fish on the fly everywhere.
Yes, sir. That's the goal. There's a lot of stuff that not a lot of people are like trying to throw flies at.
Sure.
I feel like the thing is with fly fishing, the game is changing. I feel like it is. There's guys out here catching GTs. There's guys going in the Amazon catching Arapaima. There's so many stuff that that thought could not be possible with a fly rod, and I feel like it is possible. You just got to do the research. There's guys catching big tuna on the fly rod. I saw a video on that, and that got me hooked on the tuna. I got to catch a tuna now. So I started buying gear. I live at home, had to hide the gear from mom. Didn't want mom to know where my money was going.
I have to hide my gear still, because we all report to somebody, and that somebody keeps is likely to be curious about what's in the box. Oh, nothing, right? Because we slide it in the closet. Your saltwater fish, sounds like you got that dialed in, and it's close to where you live. You're able to do that easily. What about freshwater? What's your favorite hunt for freshwater, and what's your species of choice there?
So the freshwater, I was starting to get into fly fishing, practice on the bass, the largemouth bass. They were fun, and the bluegills. But what really got me hooked was the right bass. We got them in upstate South Carolina, up in Columbia, near the Lake Murray Dam, I believe is what that's called. They got a lot of big stripers up there around like the springtime, and like throughout the summer, the stripers will move into those rivers, the Saluda River, the Congaree, and you can catch the stripers, you can catch largemouth, you can catch smallmouth in those deep rivers. They like to be in those rocks. I've seen guys out there catching them on some fluke stuff, but you can catch them on the fly too. I just haven't had any luck yet. That fishery is a little tricky up there.
How far is that from your home?
So for me, Columbia is about an hour and a half.
To get to the good freshwater fishing.
But there's stuff where I'm at in Goose Creek. We got the reservoir. The reservoir is a great place. I fished out like once or twice. There's some big grass carp, bowfin in there. There's some decent sized bass in there. Out in Munt's Corner.
Do you tie? And what's your favorite freshwater? If you do tie, what's your favorite patterns to use when chasing fish near you?
I'm still trying to get into the bait fish profile. I'm still struggling, like when I was fly tying, I'm still struggling with material distribution. So not too much, not too little. The way materials are, you got to make sure you use just the right amount. You don't want to be wasted because material is not cheap these days. Bait fish, saltwater, it's the same thing. Bait fish, crab, crustaceans. I know in freshwater they eat crawdads. Anything that mimics that.
So do you tie streamers then when you?
I do clouser minnows.
Okay, clouser minnows, yeah.
And that's about it.
and are you tying like these are 4-inch, 3-inch?
Yes, sir. Like 4, 3-inch. Yes, sir.
So you got the buggy eyes on them and the flash and.
Yes, sir. I love flash. Flash is I love flash. Love putting flash.
You know, this tying thing, I can tell you from experience, been doing this a while, that tying can be frustrating no matter how long you've been doing it. As you try to get that perfect looking something, and as you mentioned, your materials change. Some materials are easy to tie with, and some are monsters to tie. So I'm just saying, regardless of how long you've been doing it, which is one of the beauties many of us talk about with fly fishing, you can get as nerdy as you want to get. You can get nerdy. You can go into weeds on materials, on hooks, on this, on that, rods, the whole thing. You can get really nerdy really fast. Or you can just go out there and pitch and hope and, study your species and all of that, but just go out with that in mind. So that's awesome. Besides the interesting story about the alligator, what's one of your favorite experiences, Tim, that you've had as the young angler that you are?
A friend of mine, I was really trying to catch a redfish on fly. I've never caught one, lived here, ever since I got heavy into the salt and I was transitioning to the fly fishing game. I was like, man, I gotta get one. And I've tried, and I would get to all the flats, and I would see them, but they just would not eat anything I throw at them. They wouldn't even let me get close to them. Like sometimes I would get on a flat, I see them, hop off the paddleboard, and then they disappear. I was like, where'd you go? Then there was another time I was on the flat, and I was on that flat for like a good minute. I didn't see no fish. And then I was paddling around the bend of the flat, and I heard a splash, and I looked, and there was one at like a few feet from my board. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I got so excited, I hit my paddle on the board and it made a loud noise, and then he started freaking out. Then he disappeared, and I was like, okay, where'd you go? Then I saw his tail, and then he was working. So I was following this fish, the only fish on the whole flat, and it was starting to get dark. I was like, I'm going to catch you before I leave. And then I blinked too fast. There was no water on the flat. I literally chased him till it was like there was no more water. He was moving to the creek where there was deeper water, and yeah, I had to push my paddleboard out to deeper water so I could get back. But yeah, I basically chased that fish till there was no more water, and yeah, he got me. He won.
He won. In other words, you did not catch.
Yeah, I did not catch him. I was trying to figure. I was wondering what he was doing. I was like, why do you keep working your way off the flat? Where are you going? And yep, I blinked too quick, and there was no water. I was like, oh, that's why.
So you normally fish incoming low tide?
Tried to fish the low tides. It's hard. It's the game here with the redfish. It's a hunt. It's a hunt trying to find them. Mm-hmm. The pressure here is pretty hard too in South Carolina for the redfish. Everybody wants to catch them. You do find them, they'll either not spook or get on them, and you throw stuff at them, and they just don't want anything to do with it. But it's hard. I've never seen a creek full of redfish. I've had friends that would show me videos. They go into a creek in the middle of nowhere, and there'd be like 30, 40 of them just tailing away, eating crabs and shrimps. But I've never had that luck. I fished a low tide once with a friend. He took me to this one spot, and he said, I call it the aquarium. And he was right. They were everywhere. They were like in 2-3 inches of water. Their whole backs were out of the water. I saw like 2 or 3 of them chasing like a school of fish. Their whole forehead came out the water to eat a bait fish. That was pretty cool. And then that day, I caught my first redfish on a fly that I tied. I call it the creek roach. My friend said, just take a good cast. I made a decent long cast, started stripping, and he ate it. And he ate it like not too far from the boat, which is pretty cool.
Hey, you're fishing for these redfish in low water, so you're not fishing surf.
No, sir.
Yeah.
We're fishing in the marsh and like back creek mouths, back creeks.
Okay. Sure. Okay. I got it. I think that's absolutely awesome, and that you've fallen head over heels into this thing that we all love so much. Do you fish by yourself mostly, or what are your thoughts about fishing with other people? Do you prefer your own company?
Going out with others, but if nobody likes to go, I'll go by myself. I don't have a problem with it. When I go out on my small boat, I tried one time to go try to fish a flood tide. I did it by my first time by myself. Backing up the trail took a few minutes because that's still hard. That's hard to do, backing the boat up by yourself. But I eventually got it in there, and I was rushing because it was a flood tide. I was able to get it in, and I finally got to the flat, and there was just enough water for me to get in there. And I was trying to pull the flat, and it was very windy, and the wind just kept pushing me. And I was like, okay, I'm beat. I didn't see no fish. It's hard to pull when there's wind. It's wind, and I was by myself. So even if I saw a fish, I would have to put the pole down and try to cast. And it was too much work. It's always fun when you have somebody with you, so they could pull the boat for you, so you could cast.
But you sent some pictures of fish in some places that really look curious to me. One of them, you're standing and you have a stripping basket. But where was that?
I was out on the Saluda River. That was actually, well, it's when the Saluda River and the Congaree River meet, creates that other river system. That's where the striper were, and I wasn't casting far. There was moving waters like a few feet from me. Stripers love moving water, so they were literally sitting under the current. I was using some sinking line, and I think I was using a Steve Adachi Clouser minnow to get it down deep into the water column. They were literally just sitting under there. It was a little hard. There was a lot of trees. I was out there just casting away, and those pictures were taken. I had my mom with me. I needed somebody to take pictures and video. I think I was a little tad too early because they like to come in the spring. I would go up there. Of course, you got to read the dam levels. I didn't read the dam levels at the time. I think the dam level affects the stripers up there in Columbia. So if there's not enough water, they're like, eh. But if there is enough, they're gonna be there. Yeah, I was out there. I was like, let's just see what happens. We might catch something. I was trying, but nothing. I didn't catch anything. No stripers, no bass, no nothing. But it was all right. We got some practicing and got to show people what we do up in those rivers.
Well, the old saying is true. It's called fishing, not catching. And we keep going back no matter what because we got that obsession, right? We're going to chase them. We're going to chase them again. We're going to chase them again. The Ubuntu Fly Anglers group, we consist of hobby anglers, but also professional guides and outfitters that look like us, which is why we formed in the first place. Guides and outfitters in Minnesota, in California, in Colorado. It's been great. I've been looking forward to hearing your story, and I love your enthusiasm about this thing that we love so much, just chasing fish on the fly. Any final thoughts from you as far as what you hope to do? What's the big plan for you?
I guess to inspire other people to get involved into more fly fishing. It's not just a one-sided race thing. Me growing up, a lot of kids, my skin tone, my complexion, the way I talk or what I like to do, they would call me white or say I act white or talk white because I love to fish. I don't do what other black kids or, they think that we do. But I didn't do any of that. And I grew up military family, the military structure, the discipline and all that. We did, the exact opposite. We do what everybody else loves to do. Love to fish, listen to all genres of music, do it all. I would love to see it's not just one race thing. I would like everybody to be involved in it. See more people try to change the fly fishing game, or maybe come up with a new method to chase after the next species that hasn't been thrown a fly yet, whether it's fresh or saltwater.
I appreciate that transparency because we are here because 99.9% of us, as part of Ubuntu, have similar stories to tell about growing up doing something that other people like us didn't typically do. We're all about forming that community, that network, of folks. So like, we don't have to explain to one another why we do this. We can just be us doing what we love to do. But it's really nice when we're doing it together and we're out there. So thanks for that, because that's huge. In this sport, it's still pretty much dominated by a certain group.
Yes, sir.
It'll stay that way unless we all do our part, right? To bring more people like us into this. Fly rods in the hands of even younger folk and get them out on the water. We're working at it. We're doing our darndest, and you're part of that movement. And that's why I appreciate you so much. And that's why I said earlier, and I mean it, you're a rising star, bro. Well, I appreciate you. Keep the pictures going. I love seeing pictures of you doing your thing.
I'm gonna do my best. It's hard. Even some of my mom and my friends, they get on me. It's like, why don't you take pictures? Like, well, sometimes when I'm out there, I'm just in the moment. You catch them, you let them go. If it's a big one, hey, you get that picture. Make sure you get the picture, and then you let it go. But if it's small ones, just let them go. We're just out there to catch them for fun.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you, bro. And thanks for posting on Instagram. Give other people a chance to get to know you.
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. This is amazing. This is my first podcast.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Ubuntu Fly Angler Network and iFishiBelong's On the Reel. We had a chance today to sit down with Timothy Lensey and Reel. So appreciate you listening and watching on YouTube. So we'll see you next time.